Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be another classic movie review for you guys, and finally I've seen this movie, seriously. As you guys know, I am covering the Terminator movies, and obviously, I reviewed the first one, so this is finally giving me a review for the 1991 science fiction action classic T2 Judgment Day. Finally, I have seen T2. Look, I wanted to see the Terminator. I wanted to see how the franchise started, but this was the reason why I even covered that movie, okay? That's why I covered it, really. I mean, the real reason is because Terminator Genesis is coming out, but that's beside the point. Finally, I've seen T2. That's what matters. I've finally seen it, which is awesome. I mean, if you consider yourself an action fan, you're not an action fan unless you've seen T2. It's that simple. You're just not. It's just that simple, really. You're not. So, while I really like the Terminator, I thought it was a really fun movie. I thought it was a great way to the franchise. Nothing compares to T2. T2 is an absolute masterpiece. I absolutely love this movie. And honestly, I don't think we needed a T3 or Terminator Salvation. I don't see why those movies are around. And I'll talk about that in the spoilers. And I am going to watch those movies because they exist. And Terminator Genesis is coming out, and I might as well. So, I wasn't going to, but I watched Batman and Robin, so I pretty much have no excuse now but to watch them. So, yeah. But let's get to the plot of T2, which is just awesome. I love the plot of T2. Basically, it takes place in 1995. John Connor is now 10 years old. He's living in Los Angeles with foster parents, and basically Skynet, after the T-800 was destroyed, the T-800 has now been reprogrammed by John Connor in the future, but this time he is there to protect John Connor, while Skynet has also made the T-1000, which basically is there to destroy John Connor. So the T-800 basically has to do whatever he can to protect John Connor. Meanwhile, Sarah Connor is in a mental institution and basically trying to get over that and trying to cope with the events of the first one. And basically, eventually, they all team up to basically stop this thing called Judgment Day, that is this nuclear war that's going to occur. They have to do whatever they can to stop it because that's what the T-1000 wants. That's what Skynet wants. And basically, they have to do whatever they can to stop the T-1000. That basically is the plot of T2 Judgment Day, which is such an awesome plot. Honestly, guys, how does that not make you want to see the movie? Seriously, that is such an awesome plot. And there are so many things about this movie that make it one of the greatest action movies of all time. Seriously, the thing is, this movie is so much more than an action movie. Most times when you try to up the ante of, the first movie, it doesn't work. There are so many examples I could give, really. There are so many examples. It just didn't work. This, however, this was a series that, yeah, it worked so well because the first one was kind of cheesy. It really was. And this movie wasn't, and there are so many things I love of this movie. Let's first get to the acting in this movie. The acting is 10 times better than it was in the first movie. Not that the first movie didn't have great acting, but the acting here is just, oh my god, it's so much better. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, as I said, he was great as a villain in the first movie. He did a really good job, especially because people were very skeptical of him. But turning him into the hero in this movie, I mean, this is why we love Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he's so good at playing these heroes that you root for. And this is by far Arnold Schwarzenegger's best performance at the T-800. You really see how much he cares for John Connor, how much he wants to help him. I just really loved his character. You really see him as this hero. His introduction in the movie is one of the most badass things I think I've ever seen, honestly. He goes into, like, this club, and he's up to this guy. He's like, I need your clothes and your motorcycle, and it's so awesome. And then Born to Be Wild plays. It's like, yes, that is the Arnie that we love. Seriously, that is why I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was so awesome in this movie, and he was amazing. Really, he was. And he's the badass that you love, and this is why Arnold Schwarzenegger is just so loved, because of movies like this. I mean, yeah, he did other movies, but really, we love Arnold Schwarzenegger because of the Terminator franchise. That really is why we love him, and without the Terminator movies, that he wouldn't be the big action star he was today. He was amazing in this movie. However, just as good as him is Robert Patrick as the T-1000. Holy shit, this is probably the most menacing villain I've ever seen in an action movie. Yeah, more menacing than the Joker. Because here's the thing with the T-1000. He's a very quiet villain. He does have dialogue here and there, and he's made completely of liquid metal. So he pretty much is indestructible, and it's really crazy to see. I mean, he can take the form of anything or anyone. There's a scene where he takes the form of John Connor's foster parents. I mean, it's really menacing stuff, guys. Robert Patrick did a fantastic job with that. He's so menacing. You just look at the guy, you're intimidated by him. And something that was awesome in the movie were the fight scenes between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robert Patrick. I will talk about that in the action, but he was definitely an awesome movie. I really thought he was a great villain, and he is really the definition of a perfect villain. I mean, they're both Terminators. They just want very different things. I mean, one's there to, help John Connor, while the other's there to kill him, and it's just so awesome to watch. And while the Terminator was, while the T-800 was a great villain in the first movie, the T-1000 is just such a more powerful villain. I mean, he's so menacing, and you really don't know how the hell they're gonna take this thing down. Like, you just look at him, you shoot a gun, like, the bullet hole, he just heals himself, because he has this extraordinary healing power. You really don't know how the hell they're gonna take him down. It's amazing to watch, because for a while, you're like, are they gonna survive? Are they all gonna die? Is Judgment Day actually gonna happen? It's actually very well done. I mean, my heart was just gripping so many times this movie. I absolutely love that about this movie. Another huge improvement is Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. Not that she wasn't great in the first movie. She was definitely more of a damsel in distress, kind of, who doesn't really like her job and kind of was just being protected. Here, she is a full-fledged badass. This is the Sarah Connor that we all know and love. Seriously. Sarah Connor is amazing in this movie because most of the, well, at least for the first half of the movie, she's in this mental institution trying to process what happened to her. But basically, she eventually, when she finds out her son's in trouble, she wants to go after him. She wants to protect them as best as she can, go after the T-1000, and seeing her as this badass, who's trained a lot, and things like that. I thought she was so awesome in the movie. She has so many awesome scenes. This is the Sarah Connor that we love, and that's why we love Linda Hamilton. She did an amazing job in this movie. Really, she did. She was incredible. Edward Furlong as John Connor, I thought was probably one of the best child performances ever, honestly. He had a very big shoes to fill because in the first movie we heard so much about John Connor and they built him up so well that this could have been a major disappointment, honestly. The way they built him up so well in the first movie, it could have been a terrible disappointment, but because of how good Edward Furlong was, John Connor was one of the best characters in the movie. In fact, one of my favorite parts of the movie is the, friendship between John Connor and the T-800. I love their bonding. They work so well together. John Connor, he's this very rebellious kid. He just kind of like Sarah Connor. He doesn't really have the best life. He's very rebellious all the time. And then when he goes on this mission with the T-800, I mean, they just form instantly, and I love that. I think Edward Furlong is fantastic. I mean, not instantly, like, he doesn't really want to help him at first, but then eventually they do get this bond. It was very well done, and I really do love Edward Furlong in the movie. I don't understand why they had to replace him in the third movie, because I do hear that they replaced him, which really sucks, but he was incredible in this movie, and for a child actor, I mean, he really was incredible. Really, he was. I think he did a great job, and Joel Morton as Miles was also really good. I thought his character was definitely very good in the movie. I really liked his character, definitely. Yeah, so he was also very good in the movie. I thought definitely he did a very good job. So overall, everyone in the movie is great. There was not a single bad performance in this movie. I think everyone did a fantastic job. However, to me, the best part of this movie is the directing by James Cameron, because as I said, it's very rare for bigger to be better, and this is one of those movies where it was. James Cameron knew that this was 1991. This was no longer 1984 where he had to use stop motion, which I didn't talk about in my review. He used stop motion on all the Terminators, actually, which were really interesting. But here he's like, you know what, I'm going to use, all these effects. Most of them were practical, but the directing by him was just so much better in this movie. The movie's a lot more emotional. You feel a lot more connected to the characters. He deepened the story more. It wasn't confusing you. Like, the first movie, it's like, what? No, I forgot that information. No, this one, they really get into the story more. You find out more what's going on, and it really just feels like you come full circle with the characters in this movie. Honestly, I think he did a great job deepening the story, making us care about the characters more, getting one of the most badass villains ever, a great story as well, honestly. It's everything you want in a sequel. It honestly is everything I could have asked for in a sequel and more, and I think James Cameron did a fantastic job directing this movie. By far, one of James Cameron's best movies. Obviously, it's not. His best movie is Titanic, like... It's my favorite movie for a reason, guys. Like, I'm not gonna say T2 is better than Titanic. It's just, I'm sorry, it's a very different movie. I can't compare them either because they're very different movies. But, yeah, T2 is still, it's his best action movie by far, definitely. I mean, he did a fantastic job directing this movie. The screenplay as well is so much better than this movie. The screenplay in the first one, again, was kind of cheesy. It wasn't exactly something I could take all that seriously. At points, I mean, I could take it seriously, but then there were points where it's like, okay, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor are having sex, alright, that's great. But, you know, basically, the writing in this movie I thought was so sharp. I love the writing. There's so many quotable lines in this movie. Hasta la vista. And then, of course, there's the I'll be back. Like, there are classic lines like that. I love those lines in the movie. And, you know, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger being a badass, and the screenplay is just awesome. And, again, the way he deepened all these characters and made us felt more connected to them is the best thing you can do in an action movie. Because, to me, while an action movie has to have really good action, you have to have really good characters that you root for as well. And that's something that he did perfectly in this movie, is made us care more for the characters, and I absolutely love that. The cinematography, wow, just cinematography you have to, like, applaud for, because it is honestly incredible in this movie. I'm not joking when I say this is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. It is. This is hands down one of the best action movies ever. It's tied with Dark Knight and Fury Road for my 3 favorite action movies of all time. Honestly, it is. The thing about this movie with the cinematography, again, is that it could have ended up horrible. They could have done all this CGI. Most of it's really practical, and I really love that. A lot of the effects, like, when you see a car, like, hit something, it's actually hitting something. It's mostly practical effects, and that's really cool. I love that James Cameron did that. Practical is a lot better than just, you know, CGI, and they had the use of CGI. Of course, they used CGI when they needed to for some things, but not everything. They didn't just use CGI constantly. That's something I thought was really well done with this movie. Something I thought was really great. And the cinematography is so great to look at points. It's such an improvement from the first movie. It makes you just realize, wow, this is such an improvement. It's hands down some of the best action some of the best cinematography I've seen, and I absolutely love the cinematography of this movie. It is fantastic. The score to Terminator 2, I mean, dun 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 dun, like, it doesn't get more epic than that, really. It's such an epic score. I love the score, and that's one of those scores where when it comes on, you want to get into that mode, you're ready to go back into that world, and that's something I thought was awesome, because the first scene, you hear that score, and that's awesome, because you're ready to get back into that world, you're ready to meet these characters again, you're ready to get back into that story again, and that perfectly sets everything up very well, and I absolutely love that. The editing as well. This movie is much longer than the first one, and it had to be, honestly. One of my things with the first movie, it was kind of fast-paced, and while it was slow-paced, it was also very fast-paced. This movie's a lot more slow-paced. The first half is, the T-800 and John Connor going on, you know, their mission, while Sarah is in a mental institution, and eventually all these stories combine together, which I thought was really good, and I definitely really like that. But the movie definitely is a lot more slow-paced, and that's really good because it shows us how much time has passed since the last one, you know, how different things are in this one. The stakes are so much higher in this one. They just had to make this movie longer, really did. And longer, honestly, was better. Again, very rare, but this is one of those things where longer is better in this movie. It's longer, which it's better. It is, honestly. It's better, and I couldn't have asked for anything else in this movie. It's awesome, honestly. I'm surprised by how well this turned out, because it could have turned out terribly. It really could have. The action sequences in this movie are truly breathtaking. They are some of the best I've ever seen. I mean, the thing with the first movie, and people have talked about this, the first movie, you had someone from a military, you know, the resistance, and then, of course, the T-800. They can't really fight a lot, because obviously the T-800 is going to beat the shit out of him, but here you have 2 Terminators, and there's a lot of combat between the two, and it's awesome to watch. I think all their scenes together, where they're just beating on each other, I mean, they're awesome to watch, especially towards the end. I mean, there's some great handheld combat in this movie, but there's also some really great explosions in this movie. Honestly, it is awesome to watch. I loved it. I thought they did a great job with that, and that's something I thought was great in this movie was the way they improved the special effects. I mean, just the action was so much more in this movie. There was so much more action, and it was more believable as well. Like the first movie, the action was good, but it wasn't as believable. Here, it's extremely believable. It's extremely realistic. You really feel like you're in this dire situation, and that was awesome the way they did that. I absolutely loved that about the movie. And now I do want to talk about spoilers because you just have to talk about spoilers for T2. Honestly, you can't talk about T2 without talking about spoilers. If you guys haven't seen T2, see it right now. I don't care if you haven't seen the first one. See T2. It basically restarted the it basically restarted things. Like, you do kind of have to know what's going on in the first one, but you will get the basic story out of this one. So, see T2 right now. I don't care what you have to do. Just see it. It's an amazing movie. It's one of the greatest action movies of all time. I don't care if the Skynet on this Blu-ray takes like 20 minutes to load. It doesn't really matter. The movie was still awesome. It was still worth it, and just go see it. This movie also got 4 Academy Awards for Best Sound Editing, and Best Sound Mixing, Best Makeup, and Best Visual Effects. It deserved all 4 of those things. This movie is one of the loudest movies I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, it's so loud. It's like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun! Like, you know, the first one was like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. This one's like, dun-dun-dun-dun! Like, it's so loud, and it really works so well with the movie. Also, I forgot to talk about this. The costumes on the Terminators looked awesome. Just the way they did it, the makeup, you know, it did win Best Makeup at the Academy Awards. It deserved that as well. It looked awesome, and that's one of the things that I thought worked so well. But now let's get to the spoilers for this movie. Again, if you haven't seen T2, please don't watch the rest of this review. So, of course, we have to talk about the ending. I mean, it's so awesome the way they end this movie. I don't understand why the fuck there's a third one, though, because if they destroyed the chip and they destroy, you know, the arm, why do we need a third one? Like, what is the point of that? You caused Judgment Day from happening. Move on with your life. Honestly, I don't see the point of a third one. I really don't. So I can see why people were kind of upset that there was a third one. This honestly was probably the perfect ending to the series. This was, of course, James Cameron's last movie in the Terminator series, so you can definitely tell that he probably intended for this to be the last movie in the series. I mean, Sarah's closing monologue pretty much shows that everything's okay now, that they're gonna repair things, and that maybe they can restore human life and things like that. And I thought that was definitely very interesting. And then, of course, there's the ending when, I mean, it really did get to me. Honestly, I shed some tears. I shit you not, I shed some tears here. When, of course, the T-800 has to, you know, is unable to self-terminate. He has to go into the lava and destroy himself. And it's so sad because you're so connected to this character. And the thing about it is, though, you realize that you're crying over a machine. You don't care, though, because you're so connected to this character. You don't see him as a machine. You see him as an actual human with genuine emotions. That's something I forgot to say, is that he has actual emotions in this movie. And that's something I thought was great as well. Just the way they did that. I definitely really love that. And just the way they did that scene was just perfect. And the way they killed the T-800, I mean, that is just awesome. Honestly, one of the most badass villain deaths I've ever seen, with him just, like, basically turning into the liquid metal and then basically slowly falling into the lava. I didn't care that it took him you know, like a minute to get destroyed. It was still awesome, and the way they did that, I definitely really love that. You know, the grenade that just went off, and it made him, you know, basically explode, and made him kind of look like I don't know what to call it, like a kind of like a stick figure. You know, that's kind of what it looked like to me, at least. But that was awesome the way they did that. I definitely love that. It's one of the best villain deaths of all time, and I just thought it was the perfect way to end this movie. So honestly, I don't see the need for a third one. I am going to watch T3 and Terminator Salvation just because, again, I watched Batman and Robin. I can't basically say that I'm going to watch Batman and Robin and not Terminator Salvation. I just can't do that because you guys are going to be like, oh, you're such a pussy. You watched Batman and Robin, you didn't watch Terminator Salvation. So to keep you guys from saying that, I'm going to watch T3 and Terminator Salvation. I don't really want to, but I might as well. Honestly, I might as well finish out the franchise. I don't really want to, but... And I can see how Terminator Genisys is going to make no sense whatsoever, because I heard the third one, Sarah Connor dies, like, that's the plot of the movie, and then Kyle Reese is there, like, what the fuck, it doesn't make any sense, and at least we have this movie. At least we can look back and say, this is one of the greatest action movies ever created. It's amazing that it turned out as well as it did. I think that was amazing. Also, guys, I have a prediction. when Sarah had that dream of Judgment Day, I'm predicting that that is actually going to happen in the third movie because I heard that Judgment Day does happen, which makes no sense whatsoever. But, at least this movie turned out as well as it did. At least it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. At least I can look back and say I had a great time watching this movie. And it's not just a fun action movie. It's a very dark movie as well. It's not like a thriller. It does have constant tension throughout the movie, but it has a lot of really great character moments. You care a lot more for the characters. The characters are in peril a lot more. You know, you got an actual, like, hero to root for now. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger at his finest. You got a really great kid actor. Sarah Connor isn't just a damsel in distress. She's actually a great character, and I love that. It really is a fantastic movie, and you really can't go wrong with T2. It truly is a masterpiece, and it truly is one of the best action movies ever made. Maybe the best action sequel ever made. Really, it may just be. But that's basically my review of T2. Well, what am I saying? Maybe The Dark Knight. I'm really not sure. It might be, though. But that's basically my review of T2. Let me know what you guys saw this movie you have seen. I am so happy that I finally watched T2. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be for my review of T3. Again, I don't want to watch T3, but I have to because I put myself in that position, and I might as well watch it. So, I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for T3, and I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.